Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Recruit, Hire, Lead to Retain. I'm your host, Deborah Reynolds, owner of About Face Image Consulting, business and leadership coach, image mindset and transformation expert. Our regular co-host, Tim Dick from Best Culture Solutions, is not available today. So today, joining us is Moreno from Vancouver Media Marketing, who has a strong background in leadership. And welcome, Moreno.
Good morning. It's a pleasure being here. And hello from the west coast of Canada.
Absolutely. So, listen, Moreno, when we were chatting last, our last segment, you were sharing information about some of your expertise in a position of leadership with a larger company and larger teams. And the topic of that day was assuming the position of leadership. We're actually going to continue that conversation, and we're going to talk about some of the other attributes that are really important in the characteristics of new hires and candidates for anybody who is assuming a position of leadership, whether they are in entry level positions and senior level positions. And really that aspect of leadership is more of a mindset rather than holding a particular role in a company. So I do want to talk a little bit about some of those really, strongly required and necessary skills that are skill sets that anybody in a company or corporation needs to be able to flourish and to add real value to the company. So tell me some of the skill sets that you think that when you were working for the corporation that you believe were really essential and required skills to flourish.
Thank you, Deborah. Good topic. Excellent question. Definitely, what is most important for people when they work within an organization or in a team is having people skills. And the most important quality there is the ability to communicate, which means getting along with people. And communication is a two-way process. It's give and take. And what is most important is to listen first, to make the effort to listen and to understand, see, understand where the other person is coming from, what their meaning is. Take the time to sit back and reflect on what the other person is saying. Too many people are too keen to speak first and sometimes speak all the time. It appears that fewer people make the effort to listen first and see what needs to be said. So when bringing people together, that is what we look for. We look for people who have people skills. And when we sit down with them and talk with them in a laissez-faire fashion, we can very quickly see the makeup of that person. If they are people type persons or if they have an issue communicating with others. See, everybody wants to feel accepted. Everybody wants to be listened to. And everybody once in a while wants a pat on the back.
I agree. I mean, those are really important characteristics to share in an organization. You were talking about we want to be seen, we want to be heard and acknowledged, and definitely want to have that pat on the back. When I was working with a number of corporations, one of the primary things that I focus on is ensuring that the leadership team um, definitely recognizes what team members are doing right rather than wrong. And so the skill set is essentially identifying and being able to observe clearly enough what they're doing well and to acknowledge that openly and to communicate that rather than criticizing and seeing that it could be done differently. You shared something about the communication aspect of listening, and really a big part of the listening component is asking the right questions to be able to elicit the right information so the team can actually go forward. So having that spirit of curiosity as an individual, company, and corporation, having that spirit of curiosity is absolutely necessary when you're communicating with people. So asking the right questions will give you the right answers for you to take that information and be able to run with that information to accelerate the growth of the team, to get to the next level of a project that you're working on. So you have to be able to ask the right questions. And so you need to know your team members really well, building up that relationship, communicating, getting to know people, making it safe for them to present a point of view or an opinion so that they're not holding back. Because if people are holding back their knowledge, their expertise, their observations, or their perceptions of something that's happening around them, that could actually hold a team back, or it could be detrimental to a company on a whole of not being able to move forward on a project quickly enough, or to be able to resolve a problem or an issue quickly enough. So you have to make the environment safe, but that's also an internal thing. People have to feel confident enough within themselves, within, managing their own emotions, that they are willing to step outside of their comfort zone and express a point of view and an opinion. I think that's really important as well.
Yeah, when you mentioned asking the right questions and presenting one's point of view, it reminds me that when people present in a project environment, problems always arise, there are always issues. And my stand is always that people need to bring problems and issues to the project's attention. However, not just say what the problem is, but bring the problem, also bring a solution, a proposed solution. It's very easy to find problems and present problems. And on their own, the value is very limited. Present the problem and propose a solution. What do you think? What can possibly be done? I think it's a lazy man's approach, just to find problems and present them. What do you think, Deborah?
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree. That skill set, the characteristic of being proactive, is an essential skill of anybody assuming a position of leadership. You want to make a real contribution in an organization. You do have to present and identify those problems that could slow a project down or interfere in the success of a company, revenue generation, acquisition of clients, other products, businesses, etc. But you really need to be proactive in identifying what are the solutions and how, what is the best solution. So it could even be a possible presentation of more than one solution, and also indicating what the possible outcomes of those solutions, if they were implemented, how that would affect other departments or divisions. So as team members, I think it's really important that we know what those different departments and divisions are doing. You need to have an awareness of that if you are a team member. If you're in a position of leadership, you are part of a team working on a project and moving things forward, or you're anticipating on joining a company as a new candidate, a new hire. You need to very quickly get up to speed about the different divisions and departments, who is doing what in those organizations or those different divisions, and how they contribute to the whole, executing the vision and mission of the organization as a whole. That will help you to make better decisions moving forward, and knowing how each of your decisions will impact not only the team that you're working with, but how it will impact the rest of the organization. So being proactive intellectually is a really important process. You have to have great observation skills, and you need to be able to communicate openly and readily with the team members around you.
And to that, I must add that it's not just about doing the work. It's about doing other activities as well to get the team members to work together to understand one another and all be rowing in the same direction. And it starts from the very beginning. When there is a new hire, a new team member added, that person should be welcomed. That person should be introduced to the rest of the team. And for example, I remember the one time when I was brought in, I was welcomed. There was a bottle of champagne waiting for me on the desk. At the time, I had my own office a long time ago when those things still happened. And then I was introduced to each of the team members. And regularly, we would have team events. The one time in particular, the whole department, over a long weekend, 3 days, we went away and we did no work whatsoever. We focused on all team building activities. My favorite was white river rafting. And it's very interesting, the personalities that we discover when we are away from the work environment and we are all together, relaxed, playing, getting to know and understand one another. And the best outcome of that was that when we were back in the work environment the following week and many weeks thereafter, one could clearly see how much better people in that company or in that department worked together. They communicated better. Things seemed to run smoother. There was a clear understanding. We seemed to make better progress, quicker progress. So extramural activities like that are very, very important in improving teamwork.
You know what? I absolutely agree with that, Moreno, and I love the idea of the river rafting or the. I know actually a colleague recently he went skiing with his entire team. They were working a lot of overtime, so they took the Friday off, but they were skiing for two full plus days, kind of on the weekend, as again a team building experience, which is you need to have the fun component. And if you don't have that in the business corporate environment, you're right. You're not actually building really great relationships on a core level because that workplace environment, if it's too rigid, if it's too stiff, if
Yes.
it's not enough laughter, not enough camaraderie in those environments, we are missing out on those really critical key elements of how the mind works to be able to move the mind into a more creative state. So when you are laughing and when you are having fun, you actually are leveraging a very important part of the brain, the prefrontal cortex, and the right part of the brain where creativity resides. So people become much more innovative in their process of coming up with solutions and how to move forward and streamline systems and processes. So it's a really important concept. You know, before we got started today, Moreno, you were talking about the two particular teams that you were working with in your organization, where one was a very highly skilled team, and the other one was, average, easygoing graduates. So tell me a little bit more about that story because I think it's really quite interesting about how they excelled or didn't excel because of the attributes that they had.
That is an interesting example. I agree. The two teams, by the way, were both skilled and both educated. However, the main distinction between the two was that the one team was very highly educated and with, for example, PhDs, whereas the other team, they were just engineers. And the highly educated team, they spent a lot of time speaking, trying to prove their points, not listening, thinking that their point of view was the best and that their point of view had to be expressed and understood at all costs. Consequently, there was a lot of friction in the team and very little progress was made. A lot of time was spent resolving issues, calming people down, bringing people back to the team. People working in isolation, not working together. Whereas with the other team, with the easygoing team, where nobody had a chip on their shoulder, they were more willing to help one another, work together, ask other people for their opinion, make suggestions, and progress was smooth flowing. We could feel that as a team, we could achieve anything. There were a lot of people skills. And to me, that was a very clear distinction of how these two different groups of people can represent good progress and difficult progress or slow progress.
That's a really interesting observation. And what I love about the individual who comes in, who really excels within an organization and team, is that real desire, the internal desire and willingness to want to build the relationships. And so because of the willingness and the desire to build the relationships, we have this different level of confidence. With that desire and willingness to build the relationship comes, this is going full circle back to the beginning of our conversation, is that desire to want to communicate with a back and forth flow that has more ease and flow to it, essentially. But it really is that desire to want to listen, to be curious, to ask the questions, to fully appreciate and respect the other person's experience, position, point of view, perspective on an issue. And when you have that, you have this willingness now, if that is expressed, you now have this willingness to want to share more. And we get this innate desire and excitement that starts to well up inside of us of wanting to collaborate, because things become more exciting in the course of the discussion itself. And that builds up all sorts of opportunities and ideas that from that creativity, that conversation, that new level, it sparks that flow of creativity in the mind where people can move to a new level of innovation and creativity. And they learn to navigate their problems with way more ease and flow. And it becomes more of a challenge rather than a real problem that they have to solve. They become excited about the possibility of what they can find a resolution about to be able to get to the next level. So that level of creativity is so important. Before we wrap up today, I want to be able to share some of the other attributes that I think are really important to remind new candidates, new hires, company recruiters, company executives, these attributes that are really important, which is, we were talking about this today, the primary one, which is that level of communication, which includes the listening component. But it includes the confidence. And if we want to increase our level of confidence within our team members broadly, we have to have that inner certainty within ourselves about who we are and what we can contribute. And that level of certainty comes from a place of really acknowledging that we have value and that we have worth and that we are enough as human beings, just as we are. Because as soon as you're starting to feel diminished or inadequate in any way, then we are stifling and stopping ourselves from being more creative and innovative individuals. And we begin to close ourselves off from contributing to the team and the company and the organization as a whole. Other attributes or characteristics become leveling up our knowledge and our skill sets in whatever department or division that we're in. So that willingness to want to learn and grow. Our experience, we have to be able to pull from past experiences and be able to relate those past experiences to the current events that are taking place, bring them together. So the intention has to be there to want to learn, to want to grow, to want to contribute, to want to build relationships. That full on intention has to be there. So it becomes really important, especially for recruiters, and for people that are new candidates coming in as new hires. People want to get a job, but and that mindset has to shift. They have to want to contribute to the growth of a company and to add value. So I believe that the mindset has to be a giving state first before you're going to get hired and get that really great salary that you're looking for. And then just deep respect for your colleagues, deep respect for what already has been accomplished in the business or the organization, and what they're anticipating on creating going forward. I mean, it really is about taking the lead and the leadership and wanting to pull everybody forward and drive everybody forward instead of trying to stifle and push people down, and put them into boxes or components. So, give me some last words there about what your thoughts are.
Very important. Nobody's perfect. As leaders, we must understand that people need to be flexible, and leaders especially need to pay special attention to people's makeup, people's personality, people's behavior, and try and understand them, because not everyone is the same. And sometimes there is a bad apple, and it is too late by the time we discover the bad apple. And the bad apple will have a dramatic effect on the whole team, on the morale of the whole team, and can break it up, can stop progress. Bad apples need to be eliminated as soon as possible. And sometimes it may not even be possible. The one time while working at an international bank, in the team, there was a real bad apple. He was arrogant, non-communicative, wanted to do things his own way, purposely would throw the spanner in the works. He was just not a team player. He was disrespectful. I mean, this guy was so bad. And of course, we tried to get rid of him. I approached the bank director and he said, I know, we're aware of it. And unfortunately, you see, this person was also smart because he knew how far he could push the envelope. And he just did not go over that line. And the bank was therefore not able to fire him, because in the eyes of a court of law, he did nothing wrong. Whereas in essence, he did. But it was not tangible. And the director said, don't worry. We are going to make life so miserable for him that he's going to leave. And eventually, he did leave.
You know, that's it is unfortunate when those things happen in an organization. And I mean, people are people. They have, they have feelings, perceptions, ideas. They have issues. They have baggage that they come into a company with, and it can affect. So I mean, certainly we're bound by, if there's a union, we're bound by union. We're bound by labor laws that affect what's going to happen in terms of disciplinary action and removal of that bad apple, if we need to be able to do that. So to be able to navigate those relationships, the aspect of the communication, the ability within a new hire or anybody within an organization, the ability to get along with a wide variety of personalities is an essential skill to be able to have
Deborah,
when you assume the position of leadership.
it's very important to have regular communication with everyone. As a team leader, the team lead should have regular one-on-one meetings with them to ask them how things are going for them, if they have any concerns. Some people, especially the introverts, they would rather not be the first ones to bring something forward. So it's important for team leaders to look out for this and be very perceptive. and identify the need of certain people and encourage them, make the first move to encourage them to bring their concerns forward so that they can be addressed. So that is one-on-one meetings that need to be held regularly. And then, of course, the team as well as a whole need to have regular weekly meetings. And they need to be always very well planned. There needs to be an agenda, and minutes need to be written during the meeting, proper minutes, proper agenda, because a fixed period of time needs to be allocated, and all the agenda items need to be addressed during that period. And there will be, if we know what the time limit is and if we have a plan. And then, of course, very important, and it is the most important person in the meeting, and it's not the project manager, but the chair. It is the chair who controls the meeting. And if anything is not clear, the chair has the power to stop the meeting and ask for clarification. And of course, it will be the chair that takes the minute. So anybody who takes the minute is the most powerful person in the meeting. And if anything is not clear, the meeting must be stopped and clarified. After all, the summary at the end of the meeting will be those minutes. And if those minutes are not clear, well, then the team will not be clear on how to move forward. And then problems will arise. We want everything to be as clear as possible.
Yeah, great tips there. And certainly we know that within organizations, too many team meetings create a lot of problems for an organization because they don't actually have the time to be able to execute and get the work done. So that in itself, that could be another great topic that we talk about in the future. But really great points, Moreno, and I appreciate you being here and sharing those points. So last bit to our audience, we want to say thank you for joining us for another great episode of Recruit, Hire, Lead to Retain. Remember, it is your responsibility to assume the position of leadership, whether you are a brand new hire, you are in a middle management position or senior level position. It is important that you focus time and attention on developing yourself so you can contribute to an organization as a valued member. We wish you all a great day, and we will see you in a few weeks.
Thank you for the invitation, Deborah. It was great being here. Goodbye, everybody.
My pleasure, Moreno. Thank you, everyone. Have a great day.